Good morning, Sean here from Mountains Garage on a beautiful, peaceful, sunny, cool Sunday morning. It rained yesterday, we really needed it, and now the wind's blowing. Birds are chirping, nice day. Enough about the weather. I haven't done any shop life videos in a few weeks. I did a whole series on the Turbo 400 build. And I got one more to shoot about Turbo 400s, and that should pretty much make everybody sick of watching those transmission videos. Let's get caught up at what's going on in the shop. Totally random stuff. Looks like the old Shauniform's taking it hard. These are old uniforms I was able to purchase from the uniform people. Either we were changing companies or you wear them out, the guy would sell them to you. So I patch them. Actually, my wife patches them up and keep wearing them. As promised in the last Shop Life video, I did manage to get the driver's side turbo all hung and plumbed, and the downpipes all the way back and all the way out to the tailpipes. It's a lot of work, both sides. So, and now I've been working on the charge pipes in the intercooler. It's coming along. Hopefully, we'll get her done here soon. If you're anything like me, you're probably always searching online for random junk you don't need. Well, I always need more Turbo 400s. So a week ago or so, there was an ad posted over in New Hampshire. I'm in Maine, so next state over, about 2 hours away. A 72 C10, 402 and Turbo 400. And it was still in the truck and running. The guy sent me a video. This C10 was from Texas. It was beautiful. I love and support the LS swap, but sometimes I couldn't do it. I could not LS swap this truck. It's not mine, it's not my decision, but this was a running, driving, air-conditioned Texas C10, big block Turbo 400, and now the engine and transmission lay right here. The black valve cover is a little bit strange. Who knows why it was changed or painted. I didn't know that this style C10, 67 to 72, this is the last year, 72, they changed to the clamshell style motor mount. I thought they all had the rubber with the single bolt. I learned something. I like to learn stuff. The QJ still has a reman sticker on it and the throttle shafts are tight. This package deal, which was super cheap, also came with a Holley 750 double pumper and a complete Excel ignition system in the box. I couldn't pass it up. And I also incorporated into my trip another Turbo 400, which was only 3 miles out of my way. I left at 5 a.m. I was back home at 9:30 and unloaded. Not bad. When I got to the guy's house that had the C10, he just pulled it out the night before. It was still hanging on the engine crane. And I had brought my dump trailer, and we slid it right in the back, and I was on my way. And then again, a few miles up the road, only 3 miles out of my way, this guy was ready for me also. He had this in the bucket of his bulldozer. The torque converter was still in it. He was advertised it for $100, and I recently paid $150 just for aluminum pistons for this one, the Center Sport forward and direct. So anytime I can buy a core, and $75 for a tail housing, I mean the price of a core, even if it was full of water, it was well worth $100. This one's still the torque converter in it, so it's not rusted. It does not have water in it. And I'm actually going to shoot a video on diagnosing this one because the guy said it just quit moving. He thought it was out of a 70 Corvette. Well, it is a 1970 transmission, CA code, which would be 402 barrel, probably Impala or Monte Carlo. But either way, it's cool. And literally I backed in, opened the door of my dump trailer. He drove the bulldozer up to it. I slid it in, threw him $100 and got out of there. Can't beat it. I said yes to this job, and it stretched out over a couple months, getting all the parts for it. But it's a Toyota 10.5. It's a dropout. It's, a lot easier than having a whole rear end here. Now, I used to work as a diesel mechanic, and I've done lots of big, you name it, Peterbilt, Kenworth, L9000 rear ends, 38, 40,000. And they're big. And you get used to dealing with big. This is bigger than I probably want to do in my home shop. It's a man killer just to pick it up. I gotta say, it's pretty high quality Toyota stuff. You gotta give them credit. It usually is. The shim, for instance, setup for the carrier is not hard to work with. The outboard of the bearings, they actually slide into a groove. It came out okay. Never done one before. Didn't reference any materials. I just used my instincts because I've done so many. Another item I find myself collecting is old scatter shields. This is two prime examples. This one came with a Richmond T10 that I bought. This is actually probably the newest one I have. I washed it in the parts washer and the paint started coming off. It actually has the SFI tag 6.1 from 2003, so of course it's expired. But as I've mentioned, this will keep you safe until the end of time. That tag doesn't make you any safer. I understand every so often they want you to have it recertified, but I'm doing hot rods and street cars, and thank God I don't have to live and die by the SFI date. We've talked about it before. It has its purpose, but it's, in some instances, like aluminum transmission shields, I don't see how they fail. But I guess people know more than I do. But what you won't find, because of that same SFI rating, is this is an old Lakewood two-piece I bought yesterday, early morning. Not far away from my house, half an hour. And you take these, but again, it's weird looking through the phone, running my finger, but it's designed so you can pull the transmission. Obviously, the transmission bolts here. You can see where it's been bolted. But you pull the transmission out, and then you can drop just the bottom half out. It separates on both sides. And you can service your clutch without taking the top half out. Be honest with you, by the time you take all the bolts out of the bottom, there's not that many around the top, but it was an idea that, people used to. Old Chevy bell housings used to drop out just like this. You never had to pull the bell housing to change the clutch or flywheel. And people like that, so that's probably where this idea came from. It still has a 55-7 Chevy mounts, holes, stuff like that. So she's a piece of history. Other than a little rubbage on the ground, I can straighten that out. It's in pretty good shape, and of course, if I bought it, it was probably reasonably priced. Someday when I'm actually assembling a whole powertrain, I'll go over this again, but I don't know how many times I see. Well, let me show you correct first. This is correct with those tangs under this ring. I don't know how many times I've seen this, and that's wrong. And that's right. So get it right when you assemble it. This is a small bead roller to put a ring on either coolant pipes or charge pipes. It kind of looks commercial at first sight, but actually my brother made it when he was making some coolant pipes for his hot rod. And then he was nice enough to let me store it here. And I use it, like for instance on this Monte Carlo, I've used it a couple times. I got a few more pipes to make. It's really handy. Just the dies for my electric bead roller, which would be really handy. To do this are like 150, and I haven't bought any. I don't do that many of these. And as long as I am in possession of this, I probably won't ever buy one for my bead roller because it works pretty good. But my brother's a crafty guy. He made the whole thing. I threw the nicest looking Hurst shifter in the box here, but I took the other two and this broken Muncie, and in the box underneath is what's left of a Hurst ramrod in trade for another shifter I had. As you may know, in the wintertime, I like to rebuild old Hurst shifters and make aluminum rods with rod ends and new brackets and sell them on eBay. It's a good way to pass the time. I'm looking forward to doing more of that. The broken Muncie needs a few gears. obviously the case was gone, and this is a 7/8 shaft case, and it's a 1-inch shaft parts I got on there. I don't think the guy I got it from even knew that they didn't all go together. Either way, I like the trade. It was a good deal. It's so hard these days without being able to go to swap meets, and even when I'm the rare times that I have people here or I've gone to buy stuff, I'm wearing a mask. I'm stay away from them. Hopefully they are wearing a mask too, or I'm out of there. Can't wait to get through all this stuff. The green transmission we shot a video about a week ago has already found a new owner. I decided to sell it and build myself, and I know I've said this before, one for myself. So this one has straight cut gears and all the same good stuff. And I ordered the parts for it a little over a week ago. 14 items. The same 14 items I bought to build the green transmission about 2 months ago. $170 extra for the same 14 parts. Not a lot of them have ties to China. Just a rate increase all around, I guess. So anyway, out of those 14 items, 13 of them were free shipping, and I received them as early as the next day, and they trickled in all week. Except for the one item I had to pay shipping on. I don't have it yet. And that's not the clutch hub that'll be here Monday. I ordered that the next day. That's my fault. I should have ordered at the same time. I wasn't going to run one. I think the stock one's fine, but yeah, until I actually broke a stock one, I should save the $100. But I wanted to, this has straight cut gears and all kinds of good stuff. I wanted it to be a nice transmission in my head. And if I sold it, I want to make sure it has all the good stuff in it. Most people don't know. I could tell them it did or didn't if I was dishonest, but I'm not. And if they buy a transmission, I've built it for myself, and it has all the best parts I could afford at the time for the power level I wanted to run. Just the way I am. This is a Jegs hand crank engine stand. I mentioned before, once you get the hand crank, it's hard to go back to the old manual ones. Especially when you're working on big blocks and stuff. This is pretty handy. But this is the China version. It showed up in a cheap box. Had some damage to it. I just fixed it. Didn't even tell Jegs. They would have gone good on it. They're a good company, but it just sheared off a couple screws when it fell out of the box. And all in all, it's a pretty good rig. They're right around, I think I got it on sale for like $160, and they sell for like $200 now. The other morning I woke up at 5 o'clock and I'm cruising on Facebook Marketplace, and literally 10 minutes from my house is this Cornwell hand crank. And wow, does this thing look familiar. Now you gotta look really close. The rear wheels bolt on this, where there are a flange on that one. The front piece is thick. Everything's a little bit thicker. The stance, as far as the width of the arms, are way wider on this one than the yellow one. And this one, as you read the tag and the fine print, is still made in China. But I'm thinking that those guys copied this one. But either way, this one has no play to speak of in the hand crank. That has quite a bit. Takes longer bolts. They spread out wider. In the end, it'll do the same thing, and it was a good deal. I think I didn't even try talking them down. It has a broken wheel. I've ordered a new caster. That's the only thing wrong with it. It's only been used once by a little old lady who just wanted. No, I'm just kidding. But now I got two of them, and it was right up the street, and couldn't pass it up. I've been watching the show Roadkill. They've been doing a working from home series during the pandemic, and David Freiberger was in his garage, and he had a massive pile of camshafts. I'm like, I wish I had a pile of camshafts, and that was maybe 4 weeks ago, and now I got 6 camshafts. I don't even know where I got them. They just came with a bunch of stuff I bought, I guess. Next thing you know, you look down, you keep putting them in the same place in the garage, and you got a pile of camshafts. Funny. When I first got this ultrasonic parts washer, I was kind of in love with it. And then the water needed to be changed, and the spot I had it in wasn't really conducive to that. So now I've moved it in here, and one of my projects is to get it cleaned out, because at first I was, like I say, really impressed with it. And then I stopped using it. And now it's just needs attention. Something else to work on. Once again, cruising the internet the other night. This Turbo Action Cheetah SCS shift control system shifter. It doesn't have the brackets for the transmission and the arm. No big deal. But it was listed for $40. How can you beat that? This is an expensive shifter. So I message the guy. I make a deal. I pay him handsomely for shipping because it's still a great deal. And he asked me if I'll pay with Venmo. I do have a Venmo account for one other item I had to pay that way. He gives me his girlfriend's name for her account. I go ahead and send the money to her. About a half an hour later, he says, "Hey, I haven't got that payment yet." I sent the money to the wrong name. Same everything. I mean, it was... Megan was spelled with an H instead of without. That was the only difference, but everything else was the same, which is pretty unique with her last name and everything. But believe it or not, there's still good people out there. I sent a message to the lady I sent the $70 wrong, and she sent me my money back, which I guess is how Venmo works. Everything's tracked, and I guess if she didn't send it back, I could cry about it, I guess, but there's still good people out there. And then I sent, of course, the correct recipient the money, and a few days later I had this beautiful shifter. That's a happy story. Despite the fact I used to run a parts room, I wish I had my own. Instead, my part storage solutions, you've probably seen, I got a zillion of the plastic shoe boxes, and then bigger boxes with, liked items in stock. So I opened this one the other day because I needed to build a charge pipe exiting the intercooler. And I must have got a deal on clamps, I guess, and connections and pipes. I'm well stocked. It's been a couple years since I bought this stuff, and well, I'm glad I have it, I guess, with the price increase. All right, that's going to wrap it up today. I don't know why it makes me look like I'm looking over there. Sadly, this place is such a mess, I didn't walk more than 15 feet any direction. I got to work on that. Too much stuff, but I keep dragging it home. I'd go get more this afternoon if I saw a deal. You got to do something in life. You might as well hoard. Hot rod stuff. All right, I'll talk to you next time. Watch for the video on diagnosing that Turbo 400. And then I'll move on to another subject, I promise. Nice talking with you.